What might come as a surprise to some of you is that I don't like the concept of a Marvel-themed season. It's come to my attention that the way a season or content is themed seemingly automatically dictates the way many will perceive it even before it's actually added.
This is the greatest game of all time.
Epic recognizes this, and they will often reuse the theme of a season that was praised by the community in an effort to convey the idea that their shit doesn't stink. Now, I know many of you are shaking your fist at the screen right now due to that slight jab at Season 4, and I'm sure you're giving me your reasons that, of course, aren't subjective as to why that season was actually peak and I'm just a hater. To be fair, I don't think Chapter 4 Season 4 is bad, but it's indicative of a larger issue that is key jangling. Many, including myself, immediately wrote off any issues with that season, of which there were many, simply because it had a Heisted style theme. So that being said, I went into this season with the same mindset that I would carry for any other, and despite my initial reservations, Fortnite Absolute Doom doesn't disappoint. It might seem strange to point out the idea that theme doesn't matter, considering both Marvel seasons have a positive reception. However, the content that elevates this season for me really doesn't have anything to do with the theme. Something substantially better that this season offers that no other in Chapter 5 has featured is a competent AR loot pool. For pretty much the entirety of Chapter 5, ARs have been next to useless. Season 1 and 2 both had decent assault rifles, however they were heavily overshadowed by the burst SMG and the necessity to hold a sniper. Season 3 carried over to afterthoughts of Chapter 5's ARs, with the only good addition being the combat, but once again, the burst was still in the game, which was a significantly better option than all of these. Season 4 pretty much resolved most of these issues with the removal of the burst SMG and what is easily the most powerful set of ARs we have seen during this chapter. Now, I wouldn't say it's perfect by any means, as there really is no variety when it comes to these weapons, with the new Striker Burst Assault Rifle being unequivocally the best. Honestly, the burst, in my opinion, is one of those weapons that benefits from the projectile-based fix. This weapon in Chapter 3 was extremely dumb, and a big issue with it was its lack of bloom with a red dot sight. Considering it was hit scan, it really wasn't difficult to use, but now that it features bullet drop, there is now a significant skill barrier that allows this weapon to be strong without being completely busted. Similarly, the Monarch pistol on paper looks broken like the Mammoth, however it takes a significantly larger amount of skill while remaining powerful. Oh, and before someone calls me out on shitting on the Deagle, even though it's comparable to this, the difference is this season doesn't have a weapon like the Sniper that would completely overshadow it. Honestly, I think my biggest issue with this season, and really most of the chapter, are the shotguns.
That is one big pile of shit.
While many would argue these weapons are powerful, the playstyle that the core shotguns promote isn't really that skill-oriented, and it's rather obnoxious. Something I've always respected about the pump is, despite its heavy damage, there is an innate risk factor with using it due to its slower fire rate, making missing a shot rather punishing. While the hammer pump is in the loot pool this season, someone at Epic decided to code it to be on par with the pre-nerf Striker pump, and regardless, the faster firing shotguns are just significantly better.
Please.
At the same time, it feels almost wrong to say this because despite the Sovereign and the Gatekeeper being more viable, they are both rather clunky at times. It will never not bother me that the Gatekeeper has only 3 shots despite its fire rate, and the Sovereign is just incredibly inconsistent. I know these complaints are both just likely skill issues, but despite my best efforts, whenever I'm using one of these two weapons, I constantly feel as if I'm using the worst option, which, come to think of it, reminds me of another shotgun loot pool, which dragged its seasons to the depths of hell. If I could offer up a solution, it would be to remove the Gatekeeper and apply a significant buff to the hammer pump, which could create somewhat of a pseudo-tack pump style loot pool. Given Epic's approach with last season, I was most concerned about the collab content, but from what I've seen, none of these new items are really broken, except for this masterpiece. It also helps that the ones that were a bit too powerful have already received nerfs and adjustments. While most of them are viable picks, this season's meta isn't dictated by these items specifically, or really anything broken for that matter. That's not to say there aren't weapons that are better than others, but out of any season in Chapter 5, Season 4 features by far the most variety in playstyles. Something completely unexpected was my trap bind coming out of retirement with the re-addition of the Armored Wall. I personally love this change, as it acts as somewhat of a counter to the spam capabilities of the War Machine mythics without requiring you to lose an inventory spot as a result of needing any fighting chance against something that doesn't belong in Fortnite. I hope they continue to re-add traps like the bounce pads, campfires, and launch pads.
Yeah, guys, and let's add back the damage trap too.
Who said that? Who the fuck said that? What have we got here? A fucking comedian, Private Joker.
I'm the Trap King after all. At least that's what they say.
In an effort to convey the point that I made at the beginning, the theme of a season doesn't really matter. Chapter 2 Season 4, despite being a Marvel season, didn't suffer from the shotgun pool issues or slight balancing issues with some of the new Marvel items. The point I'm attempting to drive home here is that more than anything including theme, execution matters. You can have interesting concepts like a Greek mythology season, but if the content throughout the season falls short, many will resent it later on despite its vast potential. Even Chapter 2 Season 6 had significant potential when utilizing the primal theme. However, the poor implementation of the crafting system and god-awful loot pool led many to the conclusion that it was a terrible season. Chapter 5 Season 4 utilizes the Marvel theme, but that doesn't make it impervious to negative change. I mentioned at the beginning that I don't like the concept of a Marvel-themed season. I mainly feel this way because Fortnite for me is usually at its best when it relies on its own content rather than obnoxious items that are amplified beyond the state of being broken to appease the higher-ups at Epic that want to see an emphasis on collaborations. If they continue to balance out the season, I won't have any issues moving forward, but if they decide to add broken weapons or items that dictate the meta, it will hurt my perception of the season regardless of its Marvel theme. Some might argue that considering Fortnite Absolute Doom to be good and Fortnite Wrecked to be among some of the worst, creates inconsistencies within your standards. However, there are significant differences with balancing and overall core gameplay that make these arguments not worth humoring. Even though this season is quite a step up from really anything else in the chapter, I recognize there are going to be many people who are going to step away from BR to continue to play Reload.
Wait, you can't leave. We have something special, don't we?
Wait. Is she lobotomizing herself to you too?
What do you mean lobotomizing herself?
At least the reason doesn't have to do with BR being absolute rat piss, but rather just because Reload is better by comparison. Overall, I don't have many issues with this season, and if they improved mainly the shotguns, I would feel comfortable with giving it an 8 out of 10. But considering the shotgun loot pool and some of the other minor issues, it's at best a 7 out of 10. Let me know what you think of this season in the comments below. Anyways, thank you for watching and have a great day.